3 of Courageous Conversations. I'm so excited. I'm getting ready to prep our Zoom room for those who registered for tonight's class. Let me make sure I share all the information. Tonight is all about overcoming the derailers, right? The tricky stuff, the tricky conversations that are going to happen. So let me get us started here. Make sure I am in recording mode. Record to the cloud. All right.
Recording in progress.
All right, so we are getting ready to start. As we get started, some folks are going to pop in. Of course, I'm wearing my New York Knicks hat tonight because this is what it's all about tonight. This is the vibe. And I'm going to take it off in the middle so I can get really focused. So tonight is all about overcoming derailers in your courageous conversations. We are going to focus on do a quick review of day 1 and day 2, and then dive all the way in. As always, you guys know it's a 30-minute session, so I get started on time so I can maximize this time and I can ask you questions. Once again, if you want the VIP access, which has access to replays for day 1, day 2 with the Courageous Conversations action guide, it helps you to actually work through some of the tools and the processes that we spoke about. You get to do some self-work with yourself. I always believe in giving a tangible item so that, yes, you can hear, and we could also talk about it and you'll see, but there's nothing like putting it into writing that actually takes the conversations piece and now put it into the execution and planning space. All right, so this is all about unlocking the power of effective, fearless dialogue. Are you ready to have more fearless dialogue out there that is effective for both parties or for all the parties that are involved? All right, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. It's our day 3. If you guys are popping in, type out day 3. If you caught day 1 and day 2, then just let me know, hey, I caught day 1 and day 2. I caught day 1 and day 2. If you're now coming in for day 3 only, just let me know, hey, I'm still here with you. Let me make sure I am pinned. All right, let's admit those that are coming in. All right, awesome. So welcome to day 3. Tonight's focus is going to be mastering tricky conversations. Sorry, I got lipstick on my lips, so every once in a while I feel it comes in. We're going to be speaking about critical blind spots, right? What you might be missing. So we spoke about the courageous conversations we're going to have. Tonight we're going to talk about some blind spots. We're going to talk good versus bad talks, good talks versus bad talks, identifying productive paths, right? We want productive as opposed to just something that's going to be problematic. I like to say productive versus problematic conversations. I'm going to share with you 3 powerful starters that you can use for direct and honest dialogue. Doesn't that sound juicy? Those powerful starters. And then we're going to share just a little tool and strategy just to boost your courageous conversations muscle so we can continue practicing it. Once again, you'll have access to the VIP if you're interested. We'll show you a link where you can sign up, which is from the 8:30 to the 9 o'clock slot, where you'll get more information and we get to practice it in an advanced manner. For those who do not know, let's do a quick recap. Let's do a quick recap of our courageous journey so far. On day 1, we did all about understanding yourself during the conversation. The foundation, who's actually you, the person who's the beginning space in having courageous conversations. In day 2, we spoke about strategies and tools. We shared the equipment and some strategies that you could use immediately. That's super easy, like our 60-second our 60-second beginner starter that you can use to help you during the process of very difficult conversations. And then today we're going to talk about day 3, overcoming derailers. We're talking about the mastery of conversations and how you can now take all these tools and strategies and use it more effectively. So We also want to make sure that you understand this amazing quote that I shared here by Maya Angelou. We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. So when we're going to have these conversations, understand that they're all not going to be a win, right? We're all not going to walk out of it like, oh my gosh, that was incredible. But the good part about it is that we at least sat there, we worked through our processes, we went through the different measures, and now we get to practice it, right? So we're not always looking for the win in the process, but we're looking for the execution in the process, and we're looking for doing it repeatedly so that we can have more comfort in having courageous conversations or difficult conversations. Okay? We're going to uncover some blind spots. So before we get into all that, let me just do a quick reminder of who am I. I'm Dr. Ali Griffith. I am your autism mompreneur. I am also a Knicks fan. I'm in New York. And I am an audiologist, speech language pathologist for over 24 years now, 25 years. I am also a CEO coach. I support CEOs, leaders, and professionals in the space of tapping into themselves and truly expanding what they were created to be in their business, utilizing their intellectual property or just their experiences so they can go out there and create impact, as well as monetize their gifts. That's what I'm all about. So as we're doing courageous conversations, I want to dive straight into this. I don't want to waste your time. I want to make sure these 30 minutes are juicy for you. Those who are coming in live, hi, thank you for coming in live. Thank you for registering, and thank you for making it. I know 3 days in a row is hard. So if you've made 3 days, type out 3 days in the chat. If you've done 2 days, put 2 days. And if today's the first day, then just put day 1. Right? Even though it's our day 3, you can put it's your day 1. Congratulations, Zena, for making it all 3. We appreciate you. And for whoever else are catching us live and you made it all 3, congratulations. Congratulations, Dr. D, you made it your 3 days. And I think, Ali, I think this is the first time I'm going to be seeing you. So welcome to our day 1. So let's talk about blind spots in courageous conversations. I want to get straight to it, all right? What don't you see that may show up during these courageous conversations? The assumption traps, right? Which is believing without verifying. Sometimes we come into a space and we may assume what's happening ahead. We may assume what the other person is thinking. We may assume what we think, what we are thinking can also be assumptions. So we need to, hey, how are you? Make sure you guys are subscribed and following. We want to make sure that we are tapping into not just going into conversations with an assumption, but we actually want to understand that this is our perception, and you want to move forward as a perception. If you have it as facts, then you could bring in something that shows it as facts. But even in facts, some people still question your facts. Even if you could say, okay, I pulled it up here and this is where it says it, someone can always counteract that. Well, I pulled up something else and it says something else, because in the worldwide world of internets, you can find different perceptions and different facts that are related, and we don't know which one is very true, not true, or just our perception. So just understand when you come into conversations that you are going to have your perception and some things that you're going to believe are your facts, and they may present their facts based on whatever information or their experience that they may face, and be okay with that, right? Understand that in facts, I know in this worldwide of science, we believe that there's just one way and one way only, but we're beginning to find out more, especially with AI and all these next level modalities of looking things up. You're finding out a lot of information out there, and sometimes they're against each other, and they're actually verifying whatever your point is, right? You can go out there and find some sort of facts behind whatever your point is. So be open to the fact that your fact may not be the only right fact. All right. So when that shows up in the conversation and you're like, oh, this is not just my assumption, or this is not me believing, I'm verifying it with this information, be aware that they may also counteract with their information that they may have verified also. And be open to that when we want to listen and receive. The second thing is uncovering blind spots are emotional overrides. Like feelings can sometimes cloud facts. And you got to be aware of that. You know, when a person may have facts, but they have their feelings, you got to understand that feelings are also honored. I know a lot of us are like, okay, I wanna only be based on facts, but please note, even in our facts, we may include our feelings, and you're gonna see that showing up in those conversations. So be aware that sometimes feelings can also come in and cloud your facts, and it can do that for the other person. So these are just things I need you to just be aware. When these conversations happen, I want us to be more aware and more on top of it and more ahead of what's going to happen. Does that make sense? All right, awesome. Hey, thanks for popping back in and for subscribing. All right, the third part is impact versus intent gaps. How it lands versus what you meant. This is something that's going to happen during these courageous conversations, right? During communicating with someone, you may intend it to be a certain way and you may say it a certain way, but they may receive it what was actually how it lands and what you meant. They may receive it a complete opposite way. Now, their perception and their reception can be based on their experience. It can be based on their own trauma that they may have faced. So you may come to a process and you're like, okay, I intend to have this conversation and I want to explain my perspective, as we spoke about on day 1 and day 2 about how you're going to introduce the conversation. Now, you may say it in a very calm manner. You may have done all your self-work already and you're in the process of saying this. But if a person has their own past trauma, they may actually internalize or have a different perception of the way you say it, and it may land a different way. So we got to be aware sometimes that even though we have a certain intent, that it may not have the same level of impact as we want it to be. So be open. I'm just making sure that we got these blind spots so that we are now aware that both can be happening. And once we're aware, I think it helps us to become better. And I know based on my experience and based on my facts, it helps us to be a better communicator in the process. So when you type out number 1, we got to uncover the blind spots. We got to be aware of blind spots. Type that in, because in these courageous conversations, there's so many things that can happen that can derail this conversation. So assumptions, like we mentioned, I'm going to say it again, assumptions may show up. Emotions may show up, right? And then impact versus intent will show up, and the gaps between that may show up in our conversation. So once you're aware and you start to see it peeking in and you're like, oh, there it goes. You're like, oh, Dr. Ali spoke to me about this. This is one of those blind spots. Type out blind spot. You're going to start seeing it like, oh, my impact may be different than my intent, and it's not impacting, it's not landing the same way I meant it to land, and this person is having a different perspective. Their perspective can now be based on their emotions, it could be based on assumptions, and there's so many different things, but once you're aware, and this is what they're coming from, it allows you to be fully aware and how to then move forward with this uncomfortable conversations. Like I said, awareness is the first step to skillful navigation. Type out aware, right? Type out aware. Because once you're aware, now you're like, okay, I see what's happening. I see what's coming up. Thank you, Zena. I see you're aware. I see it happening now. So now that I see it happening, oh, I know how to now navigate through the process. Make sense? So that's one of our derailers. The second derailer is good versus bad conversation. Type out good versus bad. Now, I know we never thought that it'd actually be a process where there's good conversations and there's bad conversations, but it's so true, right? And what I look at is productive versus problematic. Productive versus problematic. Now, which one are you going to want to have when you're having this conversation? Do you want to move more towards the productive end, or do you want to go towards the problematic end? Right? And you want to be aware of which one is happening at this time. All right? So let's talk about productive. What does productive conversations look like? So when it shows up, you're like, okay, this is a productive conversation. It's moving towards the direction I need to show up in. A productive conversation, and type out any one of these that resonate to you. It can be respectful and curious. It can come with a clear purpose. It can be solution focused, and we now are coming to a mutual understanding. Mutual understanding exists, right? So once again, I'm going to say again, when it's feeling productive, it's going to feel like it's clear, it's respectful. Thank you. Zena said all of the above resonates for her, right? So you know it's clear, you know there's a clear purpose happening, and you know there's a solution base, there's a solution focus that's happening at this process. And I love it when we can come to a mutual understanding. I could walk out now saying that was a productive conversation. So let's be aware of what problematic conversations are. What do you think problematic conversations may show up as? Problematic conversations may show up as, hey, James, I see you guys popping in. Thanks for popping in. It shows up as blaming and defensive. Like when they start to blame, no, this is your fault and this is your fault. Or when you see defense mode kicks in. You know, that happens a lot during our conversation. Also vague and wandering. When you're keeping everything vague, like I could have came on this and spoke about, you know, having good conversation and bad conversations and just leaving it like that. Like, and then you'll leave with me like, okay, what is good? What is bad? Like, help me out with this process, right? So now it's now being more specific. Well, good looks productive, and good looks like a purpose, and good looks like it's solution focused, and good looks like it's mutual understanding. So now we're leading with something that's more enhancing for good. I'm giving you more specific information as opposed to just keeping it vague. Problematic can also show up as when you're stuck. You know, people who are just stuck on problems, like they don't want to work through it. They just want to stay stuck on this is a problem, and this is a problem, and this is a problem, and this is a problem. But there's no direction towards solution. There's no solution focus that's happening. That's when I go to say, okay, this is now turning into a bad conversation, and it helps me to identify. Even though I had intent for this to go a certain way, I'm now seeing the impact is landing much different than my intention. And then the last type of problematic conversation is winning or being right. When the whole concept is, I want to be right, I want to win, I want to be right. You know, you have the people who you have conversations with, and they're so based on being right. So before you even think about others, I want you to think about yourself in the process and start saying, when I start these conversations, am I leading more towards blaming and defensive and being defensive? Because sometimes I could be very defensive. I'm checking myself like, okay, wait, am I being defensive? Am I jumping off and responding quickly because I didn't fully listen to what the person is saying? Are they triggering me and pushing a button that's causing me to be defensive, which makes me go into defense mode? So you got to be aware. Am I blaming them and coming off in that blaming manner? Check yourself, right? Check yourself before you check someone else. Observe if you're being vague, and then see, are you really stuck on problems, or are you moving towards motivation? Are you stuck on problems, or are you moving towards motivation? And that's the space where you need to move toward. Thank you, girl, dad. I appreciate that. The last one is winning or being right. You know those folks when you have conversation that they got to win or they always got to be right? Don't be that one. Right? Don't be problematic in the conversation. Start thinking about, instead of winning, being right, how can we come to a mutual understanding? Does that make sense? This is good, right? Juicy. Some of these things we got to make sure we bring back. Awesome. Make sure you're subscribed. So being that we're now leading these courageous conversations because you've had this session with Dr. Ali, we've worked some time, you've now worked through some of your measures, I want to know that you are now steering towards constructive and a goal-oriented dialogue. You are the steerer of this conversation. You are the lead of this conversation. You've now been trained. You have the capacity, type out the word capacity, to now push this conversation to a higher level. Right? So you're not going to be blaming, you're not going to be defensive, you're not going to be vague, you're not going to be stuck on problems, you're not going to go in like you want to be right all the time. You're now going to move towards mutual understanding, solution focus, having a clear purpose, and being respectful and curious during this dialogue. Awesome. Number 2, that was good. All right. So number 1, quick review. Number 1, we spoke about uncovering the blind spots. Number 2, we focused on good versus bad conversations. Now, number 3, we're going to tap into 3 powerful conversation starters. Are you ready? Type out number 3 if you're ready for the 3 powerful conversation starters that are going to help you to be direct and honest. Awesome. Love it. All right, Zena, you were asking about this, and Dr. D, we spoke a little bit about this yesterday. Here's how we're going to have these powerful conversation starters. And you let me know which one resonates more with you, your language, and the people that you speak to. You come into the conversation, you say, I'd like to discuss this topic because this is our positive intent or our shared goal. Because we both would like to have more a easier relationship that's happening between us, because we both would like to have a more harmonious relationship, because we both are looking towards serving in our purpose. Whatever it is that your shared goal is or your positive intent, you want to land that. So I'd like to discuss, type that out, I'd like to discuss, and then whatever the topic is at hand, because, and then whatever your shared goal is leading you towards. That's number one. Number two, I've noticed, and this is based on your observation, and I'm wondering if we can talk about it. So I've noticed you're starting to be very defensive when I walk into the room. I'm noticing that your tone of voice isn't very respectful of where I would like this to be. I'm noticing that I'm not feeling very respectful in this conversation or in this workspace of where I am. And I'm wondering if we can talk about it. Juicy? I like that one. And number three, the third option is, could we find some time to explore this issue? My hope is that we can, and then you set your intention of what it is that you want to move towards of the shared goal. So could we find some time, and this leans in a little bit towards you, Zena, what you were mentioning yesterday, but using this as a powerful conversation starter for courageous conversations. Could we find some time to explore this issue? And you're going to state what the specific issue is. And my hope is that we can. So now you're leading with a positive intention of where we can take it, right? So this is what it is. This is the topic. And then this is where we want to take it to. You are steering and guiding the conversation. Type out stare. S-T-E-E-R. Not S-T-A-R-E, but S-T-E-E-R. You are the captain of this courageous conversation. Aye, aye, captain? All right. Awesome. Got it. Thank you. Steering and guiding the conversation. Absolutely. Because now you have these tools and strategies to use consistently. So here's our fourth one. Gaining courage, confidence, and agility, as we're getting ready to wrap up in a few minutes. You want to use these courageous conversation tips and tools so that you can feel more confident in having the conversation, and you want to practice it, right? So courage requires you to embrace discomfort as a growth zone. You got to know that in order for me to have this courageous conversation, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be uncomfortable because it's a topic that neither one of us probably want to speak about, because it's difficult, right? It's difficult for a reason. So as you understand, courage relies stepping beyond your comfort zone. So embrace this discomfort like you do in other aspects in your life, and embrace it as a growth space. So if I want to grow, I want to be able to have more courageous conversations, right? Type it, I want to grow, so I got to embrace discomfort. So embrace the discomfort in order for you to grow. The next part is we want to build through preparation and practice. This is where the confidence comes in. We got to prepare for the conversation, which is what we do during our VIP session. We start to tap into some spaces of how do we prepare for whatever conversation that we're going to step into, whether it's going to be live, talking about something, a topic that people are not, very comfortable with. Sometimes we got to be the one, right? I see you, Karen. Hi, thanks for popping in. We got to be the one that's steering this conversation, because if we don't steer it, others won't. And then it'll stay inside of us and it'll fester. So we have to understand that we're going to embrace the discomfort. That's the courage. And we're going to prepare and practice. Type out prepare and practice, right? So that's where the confidence happens. That's why I'm telling you at the beginning, you're going to have some conversations and they're all not going to be positive. They're all not going to lead to the results you want at the beginning, because you got to practice this muscle. You got to practice having courageous conversations. You got to figure out which strategy works best. Am I going to lean into going from surface into deeper modality? Am I going to lead into the 5-step framework where I walk through the process with them? Am I going to lean towards just accepting the fact that I want this to be a good conversation, not a bad conversation? I want it to be productive and not something that is going to hurt the process, right? So once you prepare and once you practice, then we're going to go out there and practice it together. And I'm here to support you as you begin to practice these processing. And the last part is agility. You got to learn to adapt and respond flexibly, right? You got to be flexible. Things are going to be planned. You're going to prepare. And then when you get there or you're in the midst of the conversations, those derailers might show up, or those things those blind spots may show up. And you're like, oh, here comes another blind spot. I didn't know how to prepare for this. Or you may start it off as a good conversation and you see it start to pivoting towards the bad. And now you have to learn how to adapt and respond with flexibility. All right? So I want us to build your courageous conversations muscles through embracing discomfort, through practice and preparation, and through being flexible. Type out those three things. You're going to embrace discomfort, you're going to prepare and practice, and you're going to be flexible, right, in the process. And if you use those, then you will gain more courage, you will gain more confidence in the process, and you will gain more agility throughout the process. Navigate any conversation with greater ease and skill through practice, right? I'm not just here telling you this. This is something I've practiced over time. This is something I've practiced either one-on-one conversations, I've practiced teaching people, I've practiced in the process of dealing with it, because I may be able to teach people, but then I have to also live it. So I can teach you from real authenticity and real life situations, right? And even though I was explaining today in our lives, even though this is courageous conversations in your life, personal life, business life, it also shows up in our sales, right? How many of us as CEOs feel uncomfortable with sales? When we have to do sales, like I said yesterday, sales are courageous conversations, right? That a lot of us tend to run away from. Now, the last few years I was a sales coach, and I've helped many through creating sales strategy. And a lot of it came back to communication. A lot of it came back to some of these same strategies I'm sharing with you that you have to be able to move through. So if you're going to have this sales conversation, you're going to have to embrace that it's uncomfortable, right, Z? You're going to be stepping into a growth zone. This is something new for you. You're going to have to prepare and practice, right? You got to know what it is that you're offering, what it is that you're providing or servicing them, what are the results they're walking away with, and you got to practice. It doesn't just happen on the first one. And then you got to be flexible, right? If something happens in the process and here comes these blind spots showing up, or I like to we call them the objections, sales objections, then how will you navigate through this process? And that's where you adapt and you respond with flexibility. Juicy? All right, so let's do a recap, because you have now accomplished mastery in courageous conversation. So I want to celebrate you for tonight's achievements. Tonight you have uncovered some critical blind spots, all right? The things that you did not expect. When feelings start to show up, when people start to have assumptions that start to show up, all of that are blind spots that can pop in the process. Then you now can tell the difference between, is this conversation productive or is it problematic? Is this productive or is it problematic? Because you can see in the process which direction it's going and how can I steer it from problematic back into being productive. And we'll talk about that some more. And then how do you master these powerful conversation starters? We shared a few with them, making sure you identify what's the topic, and then moving into what is your shared goal or what is your positive intention, right? So you identify the current and then move it towards where you would like to go. And this is the beginning. This is your powerful conversation starter. We spoke about some specific words you can use. And then understand that in order for you to strengthen and gain more courage, confidence, agility, you got to step into this. You got to prepare. You got to step into your uncomfort zone, be okay, embrace discomfort, and you got to be fluid and flexible as you're undergoing that. So if you feel that you can start working on this and you feel like, hey, Dr. Ali, I think I can master this, then I want to let you know, congratulations, you are now towards your path to mastering courageous conversations. So I want to celebrate you for that. All right, so we're going to shut off now. On the dot is 30 minutes. This is our VIP moment. It's time for VIP time. So I'm going to shut this off. This is now our advanced conversation starters. Our advanced conversation, courageous conversation process. And we're going to move into that. Awesome. I'm hoping that you enjoyed it. Make sure you're subscribed and stay around so I can share some other strategies with you in the process of growth. And we're going to go into our VIP. Remember to be part of the VIP. You just have to take the scanning code, sign up for it. We'll do it. It includes a replay for day 1 and day 2. It also has the workbooks for day 1 and day 2, which are still available now, and you'll get access to the workbook for day 3. We're stepping into our after party. I want to say our advanced after party. So I'm going to shut this off on YouTube, and then we're going to go straight into it. So VIPers, tonight our focus is going to be how do you navigate sensitive and high conflict conversations? Ooh, that's juicy. How are we going to navigate sensitive and high conflict conversations? So this is going to be the next 30 minutes that we're going to do in our VIP room. And then priming rituals for peak dialogue performance. What type of rituals we can use within ourselves so we can have peak optimal dialogue performance. So we're going to do that in our VIP room in a second. All right. So I'm going to turn this off. See you later. For my folks in YouTube, I appreciate you. We had a nice